Hello.
Hello.
The universe.
It's us. Grant and Jake.
It's true.
It's us.
We're back for another action-filled week. I guess it's not so much action as it is just strange.
It's sorta. There's
But
some action in there.
You are in for another treat because we're back to continue our series on Mr. Crowley himself.
Yes, and after assessing the information, it's not going to be 3 parts. It's probably going to be 4.
Yeah,
it's probably going to be 4 parts.
I think that is the smart move. Just so we don't rush. We can have some time to relax and talk about things and kind of discuss and dissect.
Because this guy did just a shit ton of stuff.
Oh yeah,
in his life. So,
there is stuff a popping on this fucking guy. But we're back for another week. It's November now, if you can believe that.
It is. Look at that.
We are chugging along through the year 2021, and we are slowly approaching 2022. That is.
What does that mean for us?
For us personally, it just means I gotta remember to write a different date when I make notes.
It's never gonna happen.
But as far as that, I mean, that's about all that's gonna change,
Yeah. No, yeah. It makes sense. We are starting a cult, by the way.
Well,
I already said,
know.
that's Grant, I'm Jake.
I'm going to tell you this.
Stuff.
If this is your first episode listening, you're being ridiculous.
You got to go back to the first part of the series.
Yeah, exactly. I get starting at the top, seeing that's the one that's at top. You're just, okay, I'll pick this. It's part 2, though, so how can you really jump right in?
We specifically wrote part 2.
Yeah, so you guys are going to need to
avoid this problem we're having right now.
Definitely rewind a little bit, go back to the episode from last week, so that way you guys can, know where we're going and where we started from.
No, it's true. You're going to get all lost.
But if you are new to the show, welcome. We enjoy having you as a listener, and we hope you enjoy the show. We're pretty we're pretty relaxed, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
If you hate us, or if you love us, or if you just don't care,
let us know.
Yeah, send
Start
us an
a cult
email.
at gmail.com.
Yes, startacult@gmail.com.
Well, it's funny, if this is someone's first episode and it is the part 2, my first paragraph of the notes is just a single sentence recapping what happened last time.
There you go. At least you'll know a little bit if you don't want to go back.
Yeah.
I will say, this happened a couple weeks ago. I don't think we actually mentioned it on the show, but we got our first negative feedback, I guess you could say. The guy did not like the show.
Was that one about you or just the show?
I think this one was just about the show.
Oh, you didn't tell me about this one. What did he say?
It was in an email. He was like, it's not that interesting. It's got the information, but I don't really care. And then he gave us like a 5 out of 10. You know
all
what?
Right, that's fine.
I appreciate it. I get it. I totally get it, man.
He did what we wanted him to do.
Yeah, I'm not mad at you. I don't, I doubt if you're still listening, but if you are, fuck yeah, dude. Let us just give us another one. Give us another rating.
We just want you to talk to us.
Yeah, we do this show because we enjoy talking about this. And it just so happens that we have the proper equipment to record ourselves talk about it. It's kind of a win-win. I mean, we just get to do our thing.
It just makes sense.
And you guys get to listen to it. And, it's just, we'd be doing this shit anyway. It's just we move into a different room and talk at a computer instead of at each other's faces.
No, it's true. And speaking of talking about this shit, you want to talk about this shit?
Oh, yeah.
You want to do it?
I think we should. All
right. Well, let's get into Aleister Crowley, part 2.
Buckle up, boys and girls.
So, we left off last week with Mr. Aleister Crowley inheriting his father's riches after becoming a piece of shit when he died, with which he bought a bunch of fancy clothes, traveled Europe, found out he's a bisexual with a proclivity to bottoming, met Oscar Wilde, broke up with his drag queen girlfriend only to spiral into an existential depression in which he decided he wanted to be immortalized spiritually and thought the only way to achieve this was by directly opposing the god of his youth.
Yes.
That is my 6-line run-on sentence.
That pretty much beautifully summed up what we did all last week. We really dove into a lot of that.
Yeah, really goes to show how short all this stuff could be.
It could be, but it doesn't paint the right picture. See, if you don't know what's going on, you're like, okay, so this guy inherited some money, took it in the ass, married a drag queen, and then broke up with that drag queen and still taking it in the ass. Why are we talking about this guy?
He wants to oppose God. Yeah. No,
This sounds
it's
like
crazy.
your average person in some part of the world, right?
This is just like your early 20s.
Yeah, that's what happens.
This is what happens. All right, so now, one thing to note from here is that Crowley made this decision, to directly oppose the God of his youth, under the sure assumption that God and the devil were actual physical beings that exist somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, so he's like, they're people. I can go to them if I can only find them. One of those. This is where the literalness that he had for the Bible, due to his being on the spectrum, came into play. Okay, so this meant that he took his literal interpretation of the Bible that he'd had as a child and flipped it in every way. Like everything he believed and like aspired to in his religious beliefs as a child, he flipped it completely. He's like, devil's my guy. Devil is my fucking guy.
Typical rebellious behavior,
Yeah.
You go against the grain of what you're used to.
Yeah, everything he did would be in the guidance of Satan rather than God. And unlike God, Satan had a reputation of being someone that you could just summon up.
Yeah, you just
In
hang
like
out.
one way or another, like he just shows up if you call him, Unlike God, he's hearing all these prayers. God's phone is just blowing up at all points.
Yeah, he's too popular.
time.
See, that's the thing they don't talk about. God probably would do that in this scenario, but he's just too busy. He can't be in all these places at once.
Yeah.
The devil, I mean, how many calls does that guy get? Maybe, 0.1% of what God's getting?
Yeah, and it's still hundreds, but he can manage that.
Yeah, I mean, you
can
could
bide his
pencil that
time.
shit in. You're like, all right, well, this guy isn't going to work today, but when he does it again tomorrow, I'll show up.
Yeah,
I'll,
if
I'll
Satan
pop
doesn't
it.
show up, it's like, oh well, he's evil, so yeah, he would ignore, he would ghost me.
Yeah,
like
or he'll
that.
just
That's
send,
just like him. Isn't that just so Satan?
he'll just send some of his legion. He's like, you guys are cool. You guys will speak for me.
Yeah.
God doesn't do that.
It's
God's
like, just say you're me.
God's very personal. He's like, I will handle this myself.
But really, he handles nothing. usually.
Yeah, and the devil's kind of like, well, hey, fuck it. Here, take this guy. How about that? He's like me,
Yeah.
but he's just not,
He's got the horns, he's red, all these things. All right, so Aleister discovered a means to do this, call up Satan. When he came across the book of Black Magic and Pacts.
Yes.
Okay, so this was a book that attempted to combine, the most used grimoires, which are books of spells in the magical world. I'm not super familiar with the magical world, so I'm probably going to say a lot of things wrong. But
The magical world,
what I'm saying is right. Just how I'm saying it might not be.
it's very tough because there's so many different sects, I guess you could say, within the magical world, and people that like this or they prefer this or they do this magic, and they're all very testy, I guess is the word to say.
testicles.
If you if you get one slight detail wrong, they're the type that's like, of course you would think that.
To a layman, I understand where you would come.
Yeah, they're it's
like, God
that
damn
type
it.
of crowd. So
Yeah.
it's very easily researched nowadays, but it's also very intricate and intense.
Yeah.
And if you don't learn the right way, or you learn something incorrectly, you're in for a hell of an explanation.
Yeah. Devil's in the details when it comes to being annoyed by these people.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But so it's the Book of Black Magic and Pacts. It was a combination of a bunch of grimoires, which again are books of spells, and it's like he tried to put it into one usable text. The guy who wrote it was Arthur Waite. This is what he tried to do, and it was written in 1898, right? So Waite also mentions a hidden church in the book, supposedly a church in which the knowledge of the true rites of initiation to being granted magical power can be obtained. Okay, so he mentions this church.
All right,
this
all
hidden
right.
church. And Crowley wrote to Waite. Okay, he read this. He was like, holy fuck, I'm so close to my Satan call. So Crowley wrote to Waite, asking him about the church. He's like, I got to get into this church. To which Waite replied with a book suggestion.
Here's a book. Try that.
Yeah, he's like, maybe you just read more. Buy more of my books.
That's smart. That's
But
a
it
way to
wasn't
get
a book
business.
by him. Yeah. It was a book called The Cloud Upon the Sanctuary by Karl von Eckartshausen.
Eckartshausen.
Von Eckartshausen. So von Eckartshausen, he was a member of the original Illuminati, like the real old-ass physical group of individuals.
Yeah, like the
Illuminati.
The legitimate shit that was in, like, what was that, France, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like that was
Seems
real.
like a French thing. So the author of this book, von Eckartshausen, he was an original member, and in this book, he also mentions this hidden church. So here's the connection. This is why Waite was just like, give von Eckartshausen a little shout out.
Okay.
Read his book, is what he said. So he mentioned this church, and though this hidden church only exists in the metaphorical sense of finding the knowledge within oneself, Crowley took it literally and went out and searched for it. So this was his purpose in life. He's like, I'm going to oppose God, become immortal in the minds of history and everything, and he was just like, got to find this hidden church. All right.
Sounds like a plan.
It sounds like a plan. Before we get into how he did this, it's worth mentioning that Crowley was also publishing books.
Indeed,
because that was another thing. He wanted to be a writer at one point. I guess he never really gave it up. It wasn't his number one thing, but he was doing it. He was publishing books. This was where White Stains comes in. The book with the sexy Jesus time.
Yeah, where you're eating the poop
with
and
the
licking
poop
the toes and sucking on the balls and whatnot.
He loved it all. Apparently, there were other poems in there that had to do with, bestiality and a bunch of other insanely taboo things. So he was just trying to gross people out.
Yeah, he was the original shock jockey. He was Howard Stern before radio.
No, it's true. He published other books of poetry as well. Most of the poetry, other texts, but whatever. It was mostly poetry. Says he was a rich kid. He published each book using the most expensive paper he could find. It was like handmade paper.
Wouldn't absurd. That be nice? Who would take the time to do that? I guess him. I mean, that's the answer.
He didn't take time. He just spent money on the time that was spent by other people.
He's like, here, fucking make me some paper. It's like, we have all this paper. I don't want that shit. I want the good shit.
A couple of reams from Staples.
Yeah, they have Staples back then or something like that. You just go and buy a bunch of it.
They had to have had the equivalent of Staples back in the early 20th century, right?
They had. See, what's funny? I mean, nowadays, this is a little bit off topic here, but the idea of printing books, they make it seem like it's such this process. It's really fucking not. You know what you do?
You turn on a machine. Really?
Yeah, you just take what you've written, put it into this computer, and it just gives it to you. It just gives it to you. That's all it needs.
Machine gives you text.
It just makes
it's amazing.
All you do is you feed it paper and ink, and you have a book.
No, it's true.
You're like, well, this has to go through printing and publishing and blah blah blah. It's like, it doesn't need to be that big a deal. You could I have a printer. I just press the button.
Yeah.
Buy a cover and just get it in there. It's fine.
It wasn't good enough for Crowley. He wanted people's fingers all up in there. He wanted it in the paper. And so it was handmade, and so he charged super steep prices for them.
$84.
I don't know. That would be a shit ton of money back then. So yeah, he charged super steep prices because of the paper, but also he was just like, "This is amazing. I'm so fucking good at this," is what he thought.
Oh yeah.
But his lack of a reputation at all in the literary community, as well as the fact that the people that did know him thought he was a dick. Literally nobody bought a book of his.
Yeah, I probably.
So he just spent a shit ton of money on printing books, and nobody bought them.
Oprah didn't exist then, so you couldn't get into the book club.
No, yeah, he couldn't get that the ever elusive golden stick. Was it golden?
I think so.
The golden sticker.
It's like, this is the O Club approved. Is like, all right,
it's
cool.
Like, God damn it, Oprah.
Well, you just made
Oprah's definitely evil, right? Do you think that as well?
I mean, I don't necessarily know if she's evil, but she's definitely got the money to be evil.
I think she's evil.
I think we talked about
I don't really have any reason to believe that, but I just can't shake the feeling.
If I remember correctly, we talked about this last week, and I said that I don't trust anybody that makes more money than me.
Yeah, you did. You said that.
And that is immediately, I have no issues with Oprah. As far as I know, she's probably a little bit more in the clear than, a Bill Gates is. Not even that he's bad. People really have it out for Bill Gates. He's on the watch list, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Who knows?
Oprah, not so much.
He divorced his wife, that heathen.
Yeah, I mean, I
don't know what people
She's
think.
fine. I mean, she's cool, I guess.
I think she's up to something, and we're gonna find out.
I give her some mad respect, though. She just retired one day. It was like, I'm done being Oprah.
Yeah.
It was like, holy shit, she's gone. It's like, yep.
She's done being Oprah.
See ya. I don't even know if I've seen a picture of Oprah since then.
Now, didn't she do those interviews with Will Smith and his whatever his wife's name is and their relationship falling apart? Didn't she kind of have a show that started all that?
I know it happened on Jada Pinkett's actual show, Will Smith's
Oh, it was Jada
wife.
Pinkett's show.
But I think you might be right. I want to say after that went down or something, she had an interview with them.
I'm going to talk to these people.
If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, though.
Well, anyway, Oprah's evil. Crowley wasn't very good at being an author or selling books. So while he was failing at being a writer, he was still in contact with Eckenstein, his climbing partner, the guy he thought of as a father figure. And it was through Eckenstein that he read the book The Kabbalah Unveiled by Samuel Liddell McGregor Mathers. I'm just going to call him Sam Mathers.
Yeah, Sam
From
Mathers.
now on, he has 4 names.
And that book has a lot different meaning, because nowadays that's QAnon shit. But back then, it was very different. It had actual meaning to it and substance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, now the Cabal
QAnon
is very easily interchanged with nothing.
Yeah. So Samuel Mathers, he was the leader of the Order of the Golden Dawn at the time, but we'll get into that.
Oh, we will.
Okay. So this book resonated with Crowley greatly. So one day while mountain climbing with Eckenstein, he was in the Swiss Alps. They were just in the Swiss Alps climbing. Crowley began feeling super bad. He started feeling sick. And then he went to the nearest town because he was like, I got to start feeling better. And what did he do? He promptly went to the bar. The first bar he saw and loudly began having a discussion about alchemy.
Oh,
so he's like, I feel sick on the mountain. I got to go talk to random strangers about alchemy in a bar.
Alchemy, the forgotten science. I guess you could call it that. For those of you that don't know, that's just the idea of...
You are excrement. You can turn yourself into gold.
Yeah, it's really turning garbage, waste, and in a lot of cases, fecal matter itself into gold.
Yeah, it's just changing shit up.
You
got to make some changes. That's all it is.
It's a cool idea, but if someone could actually do it, they would be super rich.
No, it's true. Very gold intensive. So one man in the bar named Julian Baker, who is not... That's the same name as the Pink Floyd drummer who went insane, right? Is it not?
No, isn't that Sid Barrett?
That's Sid Barrett. Who am I thinking of?
I have no idea.
A man named Julian Baker.
Thinking Julian Lennon and Ginger Baker had a baby?
I think I'm thinking of Ginger Baker. Anyway, this guy was named Julian Baker. He was in the bar that Crowley was talking about alchemy in. So he approached Crowley as an alchemist himself. He was like, I dabble in the alchemy. And so the two hit it off, and they were eventually, just kind of palling around. And Julian Baker, he introduced Crowley to a practicing magician named George Jones,
named
the most
David
bland
Copperfield.
No, George Jones, the blandest name you could probably ever think of.
That is just the most generic, fucking
Bill Williams,
middle class, I don't even... What am I trying to... Witness protection program type of name.
It's no, my name's George Jones. Nice to meet you. But no, he's a practicing magician. So Baker and Jones both began magic... They became magical Sherpas to Crowley in a way.
I like that.
Eventually teaching him through magic ritual and intense meditation how to astral project at will.
That's pretty cool.
Isn't that... I would want to take a lesson in that. It sounds kind of scary.
Oh, I'd be terrified.
But if I did it once and it was fine, I'd be like, I do this all the time. It's kind of like going to the casino. It's like I'm going to lose all my money.
Yeah,
but I hit it big the
like,
first time, so now I'm just
fuck.
I fucking own
Let's
this place.
do it.
I won $300. I own this place.
Crowley had the same approach to anal sex as he did with astral projection.
I have a feeling that was just a yes, we'll do it.
He's like, let's do it. And if I like it, I'll keep doing it.
Well,
and
maybe, yeah. I mean, he definitely kept doing it. So this approach of just, he's a yes man. Jim Carrey's yes man. That's what he is.
Jim Carrey. That fucking weirdo.
Fucking guy. All right. So he was there, Baker and Jones, they were teaching him all these things. And surprisingly to them, however, Crowley learned to successfully do this almost immediately, meaning to them that he had an intensely firm grasp on magical works right out of the gate. Cool. So he just had a knack for this.
I never really thought about astral projection as being magical.
Well, it's like the ability to like make yourself do it at will.
Yeah, I guess that is
like
that's different.
You can't do that. I can't do that.
No, I tried to do that once, and I'll admit this on air. At least I heard like you're supposed to lay like perfectly still and flat, and like you have to like control your muscles not to like twitch or like anything.
Yeah.
And then it's supposedly, you'll start to feel like warm and sort of like you're vibrating. And then you you imagine that your inner body is like pulling itself out of yourself. And I was trying all this, right? I was just laying there.
I was trying it.
I was trying it. And like, I don't think it was actually working. Just looking back on it, I think it was like I had laid there so long and not moved a single muscle that my body just thought it was asleep. And, like, I started to feel really weird, so then I just, like, shook myself out of it and was like, I'm going to bed like a regular person.
That's like sleep paralysis you put yourself in, I think.
It was weird. I was like, I don't like this, so I shook myself away.
Yeah. You see any shadow people?
No, I did not.
Nice.
I did not. I can't say I did.
Good news from Grant's bed.
But that's the last time I'll ever try that, because I did not enjoy that.
Yeah. Well, Crowley had a knack for doing it. He could just do it immediately. So said Jones and Baker. But he was also experiencing some crazy hallucinations during this time, induced again by what he was being taught by Baker and Jones. So he was like, he could just make himself hallucinate.
Baker and Jones.
Isn't that fucking crazy? Baker
you know what's
and Jones.
funny? I hate this is like a personal side story. I'm really sorry about this, but the two dogs that I'm closest to in my life, the one dog's first name is Baker, and then my dog's last name is Jones.
Dude, Jeff's dog's name is Jones because I call Jeff Jones.
So the three dogs that are like connected to this show, minus Jake's dog, he's a different story.
And our top number one fan, my friend at work, their last name is Baker.
Really?
Yeah. This is just lining up. I think we're magicians.
We're surrounded
by
might be
Baker
magic. And Jones. We're surrounded.
Jones and Baker. Dude, we're going to start hallucinating.
We are, dude.
We're just going to fucking spiral out.
I'm in. I'm so in.
All right. Well, so he was hallucinating. He was astrally projecting. He was doing all these crazy things. So this was also an ability that took Baker and Jones years to be able to do, and Crowley was able to do it almost instantly. So it was like a clear indication to them that Crowley was ready to finally find that hidden church that he'd been looking for.
Atlantis.
Yeah. No, it's the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Oh, yeah, of course. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Order of the Golden Dawn. He was introduced to it by these two. Now, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn is an enormous topic in and of itself, and for the sake of this episode, some of the main things we'll need to know, like I'll say it, but we should do an episode on the Golden Dawn because it's pretty hilarious. For the purposes
of our series here, we can't. It's just too much.
It's far too much.
It's insane. There's a lot of practice and just weird beliefs. You'll get the overall gist, I'd say, based on the rest of the series, but to go that far into it, you're gonna really need to strap yourself in.
No, it's true. All you need to know for the sake of this episode, the main things are that Sam Mathers, the author of the Kabbalah book that Crowley had read, he was one of the leaders. Their practices focused on on the teachings of Madame Blavatsky, who is also another topic in and of herself.
Oh yeah.
She's like the female Crowley.
I think we brought her up a couple times.
Yeah, a couple times, but we've never gone in depth.
No.
Mainly because I don't know much about her.
She's pretty fucking intense, to say the least. I mean,
Madame Blavatsky.
I'd say she's Crowley like a step below, only because of the weird personal life that Crowley had.
Yeah, Crowley was a bit eccentric.
Now, to be honest, I don't know much about her personal life, but overall, the things that they, kind of believed and practiced, they're pretty on par with each other.
Yeah.
They're both strange and just very different than what you'd think.
Yeah. So, yeah, Sam Mathers is the leader. They follow Madame Blavatsky's, teachings. And the magic of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn practice was ceremonial rather than ritualistic. And ritualistic was the type of magic that Crowley would eventually grow to, he would have, an exclusivity for.
Oh, yeah.
Due to its use, ritualistic magic used sex and drugs a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And Crowley was like, that's great. And it paired with his desire to defy God. It works.
It's in a weird, very, very minuscule way. It's similar to the vampire story of Bill Schnoblin.
Yeah.
Just the way that, if you remember that episode, the things
How could you forget?
Yeah, if you listen to this show and you haven't heard that, you need to check it out as
Bill,
well.
reach out to us, Bill.
But I will say the supposed order of events on how to become a vampire, the way Bill did, it shares similarities in the ritualistic magic of Crowley.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near the same, but it sort of has the same kind of vibe to it, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, they did ceremonial shit. And Crowley loved ritualistic shit eventually later on down the line. So needless to say, Crowley was pretty bummed to find out, that his highly sought-after, hidden church, it was all about ceremonies.
Yeah, the opposite of what he wanted.
He found it very boring. He apparently judged the rest of the members, calling them middle class and boring.
That was a much bigger insult at the time.
He's like, these guys are tacky as shit. I hate these guys.
That really meant a lot. That was a swing to the nuts back then.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you're kind of just like, you got anything better? But back then, it was like, oh, you monster.
How could you insult my dress? And, maybe not dress. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm picking up
my manner of dress. Maybe they were wearing dresses. Who fucking knows? But let's, Crowley thought this. He hated the place. He was like super bummed out that this was the hidden church. So he thought, but the hidden church is a metaphorical thing. But we already covered that. But this is what he thought the hidden church was, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. He thought that they were all so boring, despite the fact that one of the most famous poets to ever exist, William Butler Yeats, was a respected member.
Yeah.
He was rubbing elbows with this guy. Just like Oscar Wilde, he's meeting all these like crazy, awesome, like historical figures. But the two, just like with Wilde, hated one another.
That is too funny.
It heavily had to do with the fact that Yeats refused to respect Crowley's poetry. Understandably so.
I mean...
have you ever read Yeats?
Beautiful. I've seen, like, certain things.
Incomprehensible. Beautiful. It's amazing.
That would be like if...
But Crowley's just like, I sucked poop from Jesus' butt and put it in his mouth.
It'd
It's
be like
okay.
Right now, like, the things that I'm interested in, like, when I write... It'd be like if I was like, here, I'm going to give this to, like, who's alive? Like, maybe, like, Stephen King. He's still alive.
Yeah.
Be like, here's this. And he'd be like, yeah, this is terrible.
This is dog shit.
I would probably be like, you're right.
No,
like,
yeah, dude.
Comparatively, you're 100% right. You're not wrong.
No, yeah. I think I talked about this on the podcast at one point, but I sent a poem that I wrote for a photographer that I really like. I sent it to him, and I couldn't even get in contact with him. He was just like, yeah, I'm his, like, person. Thanks for this. I was like, okay, see ya.
Like, cool.
Like, it was like, I don't hate the guy. I'm just like, oh, he's got other stuff to do.
Yeah, it's like, they're like, we're novices in this universe.
Yeah,
These
we're just,
guys are
like,
credited
throwing shit at the wall.
individuals.
This podcast being Exhibit A.
Yeah, that'd be like
But,
if we, like, I'm trying to think, like, a comparison for this show, that'd be like if we went up to, like, Joe Rogan and we showed him this episode and we were like, we're just as good as you, right? It'd be like, well, don't get me wrong, I love this show.
We just send him this in an email. It just says, take notes, Joe.
I love our show. This is my favorite podcast that exists. But I can openly and honestly say we're not going to compete. It's just, there's no competition there.
He has a far bigger reach for guests.
Not even the reach. This dude just has the resources to, like...
He's a compound.
Yeah, like, he can, like, talk to people that I'm like, wow, that would be really insane just to even, like, meet them at, like, a bar and just have a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And they come to his fucking house and talk to him.
Yeah. I stutter here, and it's just you. I'm just talking into a microphone. I don't even care you're here.
Yeah.
I can't even talk regularly in normal life.
I would panic. I would absolutely panic.
My heart would beat out of my chest. Arrhythmia is what I'd get.
He's just butthurt that he's not near, like, the top dogs.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not going to happen. That's just not how that stuff works.
Yeah. But in any case, Yeats and Crowley hated one another. So, Crowley only respected Mathers. And Mathers' right-hand man. A man named Alan Bennett.
Alan Bennett,
Alan
Tony's
Bennett.
father.
What?
I don't know that for sure.
Tony Bennett's father. Wouldn't that be a crazy a connection to make?
That'd be, dude. It would explain why he's so talented.
It may be. Now Bennett was not a wealthy man. Okay, so Crowley, he came in to him with a proposal. Okay, he was like, if you move in with me in my awesome fucking apartment, you could teach me all this shit. All right, I structured that wrong. If you teach me magical shit outside of these meetings, you can come live in my apartment with me. That's basically what Crowley came to Bennett with, and he was like, "Fuck yeah!"
All right, yeah, that's a step up. Why not?
Super rich kid apartment.
It's like I get to talk about the things that I like, and you'll just reward me with a free home.
It's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, Bennett took Crowley up on his deal, and the two began having sex almost immediately. Crowley, predictably, bottoming a majority of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Of
course.
He's like, it kind of sweetens the deal if you're a homosexual man. You're just like, I get an apartment and I get to have sex with you, and I just teach you about magic? Are you shitting
Crowley
me?
really, he thinks he's winning, and Bennett thinks he's winning.
Yeah.
So, why not?
Yeah. This situation and the teachings of Bennett to come out of it as a result, it was great. All right? So one of these instances came in the form of a 300. So all right, hang on. I'm all fucking mixed up.
It's all right. I'm
all mixed up. I started talking about Joe Rogan, got flustered. All right. So after Bennett moved in with Crowley, they started doing all these magical things. All right. He started teaching him. And a bunch of weird shit started happening due to the magical things. Okay, one of these instances came in the form of 316 half-materialized demons just running around the house.
Okay.
So what does that look like in your mind, Grant?
In my mind,
are they small? Are they jumping around? Or are they just shuffling like it's fucking, time to go to work?
I picture it like a scene in a movie. It could either be like children or dogs, but you walk out of the room, and when you walk back in because you forgot your keys, everything is just torn to shreds, and they're just kind of looking at you like, "Oops." That's that's what I'm picturing.
Oops, spilling salt.
Yeah, just like that, just making a mess.
Oh, nice couch, ripping it. That kind of thing. Also during this time, don't ask how he got it because I don't know. Crowley kept a skeleton in his cupboard trying to bring it back to life by feeding it blood, tea, and small birds.
Wow.
So you just had a cupboard full of bones, tea, blood, and birds.
You know what he forgot, what might have actually worked a little bit more, would be muscle tissue.
I mean, maybe.
If you're actually thinking that this is going to work, that would probably be where I'd start.
Well, okay, so it didn't work.
Oh, really?
But the bones grew a goop. A little slimy goop on the outside of them. So maybe it was the beginning stages. Maybe you just gave up.
Or, hear me out, all the blood and tea just fell because it's got nowhere to go. And it just created a goop.
Don't be ridiculous, Grant. Okay?
Fair enough.
There's nothing that indicates that blood and tea and decaying remains of birds has anything to do with goop. Can you tell me that, All
right, I take it back.
I can't prove it wrong. So, if you couldn't tell by these actions, Crowley was introduced to drug use also at this time by Bennett. So Bennett, he was prescribed opium, chloroform, morphine, and cocaine.
Cool.
By doctors. They wanted him to take this. Guess what he was prescribed this for?
I don't know, being a drunk.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
You're drunk, take this instead.
You're drunk, you need to take this morphine and chloroform. And opium and cocaine. No, he was asthmatic.
Ah.
So obviously he needs all those drugs.
Okay, yeah, that'll help.
Yeah. So, despite this introduction to drug use alongside his magical teachings, Crowley rose through the ranks of the Golden Dawn at an insane rate. You might think, ooh, he's so drugged out. He can't be magical. No, apparently he was doing real well.
He's extra magical.
He was doing real well. So, due to his previous readings of magical, text, paired with his lessons from the new drug-fueled top roommate, he rose with ease, okay, through the ranks. Due to his, due to 2 of the 3 founding members of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn dying and or leaving, to go to their day jobs respectively. So one of them died, one of them quit. He was like, I have a job. My boss is like, you got to quit it with this magic shit. This left Mathers basically in charge. So, and Crowley loved this guy. So this was perfect. It was a perfect situation for Crowley. But though Mathers was above Yates on the technical totem of the Golden Dawn, the two began having different opinions on how things should be ran. Okay, causing a rift in the Golden Dawn and its many chapters. Because it did have a couple chapters. It was like 100 members over a couple chapters all around Europe.
Yeah, it's not bad.
There's something, I don't know, we're going to do an episode on it in the future. We'll get
reach.
some more better information. But there was a lot of people. There were different chapters.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Crowley during this time had moved out of his apartment due to Bennett seeking warmer climates for his asthma. I guess the slew of drugs weren't helping him. He's like, maybe just some warmer climates.
Oh, yeah, that'll fix you right up.
Yeah. So he moved out. And also the building was being investigated for homosexual activity, which was a crime at the time. So Crowley was like, I'm going to fuck off. He left. He was just like, yeah, I'm going to go. So he had also decided to launch himself through the many remaining ranks of the Golden Dawn. He would attempt to do the Aubermelon ritual.
The Autumn Melons Ritual.
I think it's Auber. I think it's Aubermelon.
Yeah, the autumn melon just sounds funnier, but it's not a real thing.
Like it's an automatic melon.
It's like a
Would
gun.
an automatic melon to cut itself in half?
Ooh, that'd be so sweet. Could you imagine not having to deal with like a watermelon or a pineapple? It just did it itself.
Yeah, I think you could buy that for a few extra cents.
Yeah, but
right?
It's never the same.
Yeah. No, yeah, I want to buy it full form and then have it just cube itself.
Yeah, watermelon's not like as bad, but it's just unwieldy, you know?
No, it's true.
Pineapple's a little bit more constricted, but holy shit, do you have some work cut out for you.
Oh, it's so sweet. But it has nothing to do with melons, sadly. He wanted to attempt the Aubermelon ritual, which was a ritual in which a wizard could summon their own guardian angel.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's the cut down version of it. Is basically what it is. So to attempt this ritual that required pure lifestyle and unwavering discipline, Crowley purchased a property off of Lake Loch Ness in Scotland called Bullskin.
Yes, he did.
Okay, so he's living in Nessie's waters.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to feel about that.
What do you think? Apparently people like blame him for getting Nessie in the water or something like that. He summoned Nessie or something like that.
If he did, that was the best piece of magic he's ever done.
Yeah, right.
That was some true Harry Potter shit.
Yeah. But like I said, to do the Aubermelon ritual, you need a pure lifestyle and unwavering discipline. He had none of this. But he bought this house, Bullskin, right, and he started it. So now, while in Bullskin, before he started the ritual, Crowley claimed that the demons summoned in his England apartment had followed him and were wreaking havoc on those around him. Don't you hate that?
Oh,
when you're just haunted by your own doings. The most notable of these, individual of these things, it was an individual. He was a butcher. Okay, he had accidentally cut one of his arteries while on the job.
Oh, geez.
So he accidentally killed himself. Crowley claimed that this was due to him absent-mindedly writing demons' names on a bill that he had gotten from the butcher.
He's just like unintentional, just like, oh yeah, Gilgamesh.
Yeah, he's like thinking about other shit. He's just like writing absent-mindedly.
Saponopoulos.
Got these fucking flank steaks.
We got Nessie. Oh god, the butcher's dead. What else do we have? Pazuzu.
We got Beelzebub. We got all these things. So yeah, he's like, oh, these fucking things are following me. It's terrible. Meanwhile, the divide between Mathers, and the leader who had left for a time to work out some stuff in his day job. It was not going well, right? No. This guy's name was William Westcott. He was growing more and more hostile.
Willie Westcott. He was
growing more hostile towards Mathers because he came back and he was like, I'm equally in power here. But Yates, he was on Westcott's side, all right? And upon Westcott's return to the Golden Dawn, Crowley wrote to him, despite him being on Mathers' side, he wrote to Westcott being like, I think I deserve to, more speedily rise through these ranks. Don't you think? Don't you think, Westcott?
Oh, yeah.
Said Crowley. But no, he was denied. Westcott was like, no, I don't even know you. I was just working. So it was Crowley and Mathers versus Yates and Westcott.
Okay,
this is the situation here. After Westcott denied Crowley's initiation into the Second Order, because that's another thing, there's 3 orders in the Golden Dawn, the Mathers, he decided to do it himself. So Mathers was like, you know what, I'm just going to allow Crowley to be initiated into the Second Order.
All right.
He's like, I'll do it myself. However, when Crowley attempted to, go to the Golden Dawn headquarters in London, he was informed by the secretary that the order did not recognize his initiation as legitimate, and he was denied entry.
Ooh, bad news.
He's like, you can't even come in here. You can't even get off my property, is what they said. So this implied that the order did not recognize Mathers' rank. That's
not great.
Pretty a slap in the face, a slap in the magical face. To which he responded by basically calling Westcott a charlatan and claiming all the magical powers obtained by the members of the order were due to himself. So he's like, this guy's full of shit. I'm the real magic man. So this went back and forth until Crowley and Mathers began planning a coup of sorts. They were doing a coup.
A coup.
Right. And in this divide, those who backed Mathers and Crowley began experiencing genuinely terrifying things. So the people who were like supporting Crowley, and he was just like, I deserve all these fucking awesome things for no reason. All the people supporting them, just crazy things. None more notable than spontaneous combustion.
Really?
Okay, both a carriage used by backers of the 2 magicians, as well as Crowley's mild romantic counterpart, Elaine Simpson. Her raincoat also caught on fire. So all these things are just bursting into flames.
Okay.
What could be the answer, Grant?
I have no idea.
I think it's magic.
Oh, yeah.
There's some magic involved here. So let's see. These occurrences sparked Mathers and Crowley to attempt to take over the Golden Dawn headquarters, like physically. An event later known as the Battle of Blythe Road. So there's a battle. There's a battle among wizards that's about to occur.
All right.
Let's see how magical it gets. Mathers, he sent out a telegram, to those backing he and Crowley to meet at the headquarters in London on April 20th of 1898. 420.
420.
420, we're all meeting up. However, Yates became privy to this plan and began to lock up the building. He locked it up, and you know what he also did? He changed the locks. He was like, I'm just going to change. They can't get in. It doesn't even matter. However, Crowley, Mathers, and Simpson, and a random hired man for muscle managed to make their way into the building anyhow, where Crowley, like Yates, had changed the locks once more. So it's just a bunch of lock changing is all the magic, it seems.
Okay.
All right. So it was him, Mathers, his Elaine Simpson, and some random goon. Okay. Eventually, the police were called, and Crowley and his followers were asked to leave, which they did. So Crowley and Simpson then returned 2 days later and gained access to the building by simply pestering the landlord, and he began cursing those he came across while he was climbing the stairs.
Really?
So he's just like, you have to let me in, landlord. He's like, you don't seem to understand who I am. I'm Aleister Crowley, But he was nobody at this point, really. So this guy was just annoyed by him. He let him in. He was going up the stairs, and Crowley was just cursing those he came across.
Just cursing.
Yeah, just cursing them.
Just like cursing them. Just fuck you.
Yeah. And he came across Yates at the top of the stairs. And you know what Yates did from the top of the stairs?
What? What did he do?
Yeah, he kicked Crowley down the stairs.
That's a good plan.
It's a counteract.
You're going to get
curses.
Cursed.
You might be cursed. Who knows? Do we know how Yates died?
I can't say I do.
Me either.
I was looking into him a little bit.
Crowley would take credit for that.
I was trying to, not necessarily, I didn't really look for his reason of death, but I was just reading about, key characters. They're really treated as unimportant, honestly.
They kind of are. But, all right, so After Crowley was kicked down the stairs, the police were again called. And Crowley and Simpson were again asked to leave. So Yates, he then stripped Mathers as well as Simpson of their status in the Golden Dawn. He's like, you're not even in the second shit anymore. You know, you're done. You're nothing to me.
You're nothing.
You're nothing. You're nothing to me. Leaving out Crowley due to his notion that Crowley was not truly an elite member to begin with, so he didn't feel the need to strip him of the title. Which
That's
is just
a
big old fuck you, Crowley.
It's like, you're not even important enough to be ridden of, fuck you.
Yeah. Crowley was fucking pissed about this dude. He took it to court. He took this matter to court, and he lost. Almost immediately.
Could you imagine the judge just like, what the fuck am I dealing with here?
You're saying your occupation is wizard?
Yes,
I dabble in the dark arts.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes, of course. But no, he lost that court case. So yeah, not looking good for Crowley. After this, Crowley joined Mathers in Paris. Isn't that great? But he was quickly disenchanted by him. Okay, so Crowley he hated it. He hated being with Mathers alone because apparently Mathers just kind of gave up at this point. He then abandoned both Mathers as well as the Golden Dawn. He just like, fuck this hidden church, I hate it, and Mathers now. So he's just creating enemies. He's all these terrible things. But he's in Paris, and he's just like, fuck you, fuck all of you.
All right, I respect that move.
Why not? So Crowley then decides to go to, where else but New York. He goes to New York in America.
New York.
So I'm going to go on a steamship. I'm going to be in New York. It's going to be great. Apparently he loved ice cream. It was very hot in New York, and he very much liked ice cream.
Really?
That was a thing, yeah. But the heat and general discomfort of the city in the summer caused him to move to Mexico City, which I can't imagine is cooler in temperature.
No,
so I don't understand that.
Because it's just hotter and probably muggier.
Yeah. I don't know the logic, but apparently he liked it a lot more. There was a lot more boozing and gambling and general mayhem occurring.
It's probably
there.
a lot more fun than New York. I mean, just to be honest.
There you go. So apparently, while he's in Mexico City, he claims to have gained the ability to become invisible.
Oh, of course. Of course.
He apparently learned it while in the Golden Dawn, probably from Bennett, in the midst of drug things.
Yeah.
So yeah, he claimed that he could be invisible, but apparently when he tried this in England, people would just like stare at him and like ask people around him, like, who's that guy? They're like, oh, that's just Aleister Crowley, thinking he's invisible. And that was basically the extent of that.
They're kind of just like, oh, okay.
But in Mexico City, like, no one gave a fuck. They were just like, fucking whatever. But he was like, I'm invisible. I'm the most powerful magician in the world, and they can't even see me.
Yeah, all right, buddy, all right.
So Crowley also claims that during this time, he performed a ritual to summon a tutor in his magical abilities. Because, Bennett's gone. He's in the warm climates. And now Crowley's in fucking America. So, who else was summoned by this ritual than Eckenstein? His father figure mountain climbing buddy. Alright, so Crowley then professed his self-consciousness about his own magical abilities, to which Eckenstein, he replied in saying, maybe you just lack a discipline. Maybe you suck. Maybe you're not so good at being anything.
You are the weakest link.
No, but he was basically like, you need more discipline. And the only, through this was he to achieve something great. He was like, you're never going to be anything unless you're disciplined.
Yeah,
which I can see that. That makes sense. So what does Aleister do? He goes to Hawaii for 50 days, and he has an affair with a woman named Alice, and he writes a series of sonnets called Alice and Adultery from it. I don't know how this is discipline, but
it's some type of discipline,
yeah,
I guess.
I guess it was the vacation before the discipline, because then he met up with his old roommate Bennett in Sri Lanka to intensely study yoga.
Ooh.
Okay, so I can see that, the discipline and like breathing and figuring out things and
at least yoga's got some
discipline. Yeah, so this guy's going everywhere. But he was studying like meditation, all these things. Yeah. So it wasn't long after this that he and Eckenstein decided to climb K2.
Okay.
All right, so that's insane. That's the second largest mountain in the world, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yes. As far as
Is
I'm
it
aware,
not?
it is.
Yeah, so he, Eckenstein, and a bunch of other people, like apparently this whole like expedition was like over 100 days. It was like 160-something days. And so Crowley, Eckenstein, and a bunch of other people, and a traveling like farm, like a bunch of goats and like chickens and shit. Like they had like food supply for days. They were going up this mountain.
All right.
But Crowley, like he always is. He was a fucking dick. He was a terrible dick upon this trip.
Surprise.
There was even at one point like he pulled a gun on one of the guys with him.
He's like, hey, bitch.
He's like, you're gonna listen to me, bitch. And like, no, he didn't. The guy he pulled the gun on quickly took the gun.
That's mine now.
But yeah, I mean, they didn't necessarily get to the top, but they were hanging out there for a while, and just this whole big trip. I don't know, man. There's so much fucking more. Do you think we should stop here for today?
I think this is an appropriate stopping point.
I don't even know where. Like, it just keeps getting insane.
And see, that's the thing with this episode is like, that's why it's gonna be at least 4 because it's
like he's about to get fucking married. Like, I'll just like quickly talk about this.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, you go on, jump into something.
All right, he met a woman named Rose Kelly.
All right.
Okay, and she was crazy. Okay, so she was like, she had a reputation as being a very crazy person. Okay, so she, at the time that Crowley met her, she had like 2 suitors who were just like, you gotta marry me, and she was dating them both,
Right. Yeah.
But meanwhile, there was another dude who she was fucking, and he was married. So she was in the middle of all this drama in her life, and her parents were just like, you know what, you got to pick one of these suitors, you got to settle down, become a lady for us, for the family name.
She's a lady.
Whoa, 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 she's a lady.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So it was Rose Kelly. Yeah. What do we got here? So her parents were like, you got to settle down, you got to become a lady, you got to do what's right by our name, even though you're going to take the guy's name. I never understood that.
I don't get it.
Like it's like you're making a mockery of the family name. It's
Those
like
old
she's going to take the other family name.
That shit doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it.
I don't know. But so apparently, like Crowley knew the family to some degree, and the father, like Rose's father, he was just like, we're kind of into like magical things, like to a slight degree, like sort of like spirituality.
Uh-huh.
He hired Crowley as sort of a guide for Rose in this like decision.
Oh.
And so he's like, no matter what he did, there was going to be something that was going to go wrong. Like one person was going to be jealous, or like he didn't pick the right person for her, and it was a terrible, outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And what better way to both oppose God and choose the worst possible thing that he could do in the situation? He was like, you should marry me.
Just do it.
And she did. She just fucking did. Because apparently, like, Crowley didn't hold, like, the sanctity of marriage very, very close to his heart. He was just like, you can just marry me. Parents will be fine with it, right? You're getting married. That's what they wanted. And I really don't give a fuck what you do, so you can just do whatever you want.
Just go for it.
And
Why
I'm
not?
rich. Crowley's a rich kid. All these things. So, yeah, and apparently upon finding out that Aleister was going to marry Rose, Rose's father was very upset and came in right after they got married by a lawyer. Apparently they could just this was in Scotland, too. He's all over the fucking place. But
I like that, though.
Yeah, he's a man of the world. But, yeah, apparently the father came in right after they got married, and he attempted to physically beat Aleister. It kind of just deteriorated into the fact that they were now married.
There you go.
Like he went from Mexico City, from New York, from being a part of the Golden Dawn, creating a whole hubbub there, and now he's just married to a random person. And he's like, I'm going to defy God with you. And this isn't even halfway through the story, honestly.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. So we're going to have to, like, fit some crazy shit into the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, you guys are really in for a ride with this motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's taking us to Thanksgiving. I already feel it.
Oh,
I already feel
past that, yeah.
This is so I think this is an appropriate ending point for part 2.
So what do you think, Grant?
We've gotten to, a lot of weird stuff. We're seeing the early formations of his interest and kind of his path, as well as some of the odd decisions, I guess, he's made throughout his life.
It's all in the name of Satan.
We're seeing a lot of that start to unfold rather quickly, as opposed to a gradual, I learned about this. Let's see. No, this one, it's hitting pretty hard, pretty quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you guys are really, if you're sticking around for this, you're gonna love 3. It's just gonna
starts to get a little nitty and the gritty.
It's gonna take the weirdness from this episode and just double it.
Make it look like fucking mayonnaise.
Yeah, that's kind of, even part 1, it was a little weird, but then this part kind of okay, we're dipping our toes in the proverbial waters here. It's going to get even
they're
crazier.
literal waters, Grant. They're literal waters. It's Crowley. Okay?
Well, okay, fair enough.
You know what we're talking about? We got to find this water to put our toes in.
Yeah, we do.
We got to find it. One thing that's cool about Bullskin, the property you bought off of Lake Loch Ness, I'm pretty sure that Jimmy Page purchased that later on.
Yes, he did.
He purchased that and was doing all
for the very reason
things.
of it being Aleister Crowley's old place.
Yeah, that's what happens when a guy in his early 20s gets fuck you money.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'd buy that.
Yeah, why not? Let's see what happens. Let's have a good time. It's a cool place, I bet.
No, I guarantee so much Nessie merch.
Oh yeah, that's where you get the true merch.
Yeah, you can get a guy with a cool accent tell you a story. It's great.
But with all that being said, that's effectively our episode for the week.
Yeah,
How about
it's true. And Aleister Crowley's going to be coming at you in the next 2 weeks, just like he has been in these previous 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, he's coming in with a force. He's going to take you by storm. He's going to bottom for you. I promise.
It's true. And as you can tell, it makes me stutter. It makes me lose my train of thought. Just how insane this guy is.
It is a little weird, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's crazy. But we are starting a cult, and that is Grant, and I am Jake. Mitch isn't here because it's Thursday, and I'm going to Boston tomorrow, so we're recording this early.
It's true.
You can follow us on all the stuff, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we're on YouTube. There's a link below for the Patreon. Speaking of people in their early 20s with fuck you money, maybe you want that.
I like that.
For us.
That was a great segue.
That's cool.
Beauteous.
But there's also, cool episodes on there every 2 weeks, which we're about to record right after this one and post it right up there for the Patreon users. So go ahead over there and donate.
Yeah, go
We'll
check
also
us
send
out.
you a shirt. If you get on there, whatever you pay, we'll send you a shirt. I don't even give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't care.
Who cares?
Let us know where you want it to be located, and we will get that sent to you post haste.
It's true. We got stamps. We got shirts. Why not combine the two?
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to know what to write on them.
We'll wrap it in a box and just give it to you. How about that?
Yeah, we're on YouTube. I already said that, and our email is startacult@gmail.com.
I love you all.
I love you as well. So thank you for joining us. We'll be back with some Aleister.
Boom, boom, boom. Hi, mama. Yes.
Bananas.